All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome. If you are new here, appreciate you guys joining me today and waiting patiently for the intro to finish up. Uh, we didn't even really go live yet. And boss is already being. Bro, okay. I swear to God, boss is going to be. Corey, where you at, bro? Corey, get in the stream right now and drop 25 memberships. Where's Corey? Bro just scratched me already. Sorry. All right, guys, thank you for being here. I was basically just immediately complaining about boss because he is being savage already. I think I made the mistake of getting some catnip infused treats again. And the last time I did that, like, he gets not aggressive, but like feisty. He gets really feisty. So, Nicodemus, you're saying you finished Act 1 of Expedition 33 last night. Good stuff, man. Yeah, wait until you. I know. No spoilers, but yeah, the game definitely takes some twists and turns. I did tell you guys that during my review. Yeah, so Lost Soul Aside has been delayed, and I'm not going to lie, I'm frustrated about this. I'm frustrated. I mean, I don't blame the developers that the game's not ready. The game's not ready. You can't put it out there, right? You can't force it. But man, the new date that they're giving for Lost Soul Aside, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in a little bit. 5 minutes into the stream and he already attacks. I know. Yeah, I got a scratch. I don't know if you could see that on the. Yeah, you can see it on my arm. He scratched me. It itches now, bro. Bad cat. Bad boss. Bad. Unbelievable, man. He just doesn't give an F. Arc Raiders is out. The test is out. Yeah, the game didn't actually release yet, but the testing is out. By the way, I saw people asking, like, when is the state of play? The state of play is until like 5 o'clock. So I doubt I'll be streaming the entire time. I don't know that we have enough to discuss here today to justify, like, 5 hours. I may take like a little intermission, a little break in between. I'm not excited for the state of play. I'm going to be just totally real with you guys. It's a Borderlands 4 state of play. And it's no offense to Borderlands 4. It's just not my game. But, I'll tune into it. I know that there are people on the channel who are excited for it and interested, but yeah, definitely not my cup of tea. You think the delay is better than going against Elden Ring? Yeah, I mean, Lost Soul Aside was originally going to launch on May 30th, which is the same day that Elden Ring Night Rain was coming out. And, not a great date. But now it's launching against Metal Gear Solid. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, man. Any chance that they will show anything other than Borderlands? No. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you're expecting there to be anything other than just pure Borderlands 4 at the state of play, do not go in. That's not going to happen. So no GTA. No, I'm sorry, Unknown. No GTA. I know. Yeah, Alvin, I'm being serious, man. They're not. They're not showing anything other than Borderlands. It's just it's a 20-minute gameplay demonstration, essentially. If you've watched state of plays dedicated to one game previously, then no disrespect to Metal Gear, but that game is niche compared to Elden Ring. Yeah, this is a last minute delay for Lost Soul Aside. Whiskey Gaming, you're saying, I feel like I'm one of the few Elden Ring players not excited for this multiplayer game. No, I mean, I don't think you're the only one, Whiskey Gaming. I really don't, because I was really interested in Elden Ring Night Rain, and then I saw the the gameplay, or like I watched previews on it and like what the gameplay loop is, and I'm like, well, I don't know. My interest in this game has dropped substantially. Truthfully, no, I don't think it looks bad. It does look good, and it's clearly, I think, going to sell well. I mean, Elden Ring sold 30 million copies, so this will probably do just fine. But when I kind of realized that it's a very fast paced, like just get in, get your gear, go battle, I would have to try it. You know, I would have to try it out to know if it's actually something I'm going to get a feel for and want to play. But yeah, probably ain't getting it unless peer pressure. Yeah, yeah, it does seem like one of those games because I think it's parties of three, and I think you have to play with three people. So if you don't have like two friends, you will just have to play with randoms. All right, come on, boss. Come on. You'll get it once it goes on sale. I mean, there's a much higher chance that I'll play it now, though, simply for the fact I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but Lost Soul Aside was coming out May 30th, and I was gonna get that. Really, he's just lying on me now. Okay, and I was gonna get that, but when is the state of play? The state of play isn't for like 5 hours, so I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna don't be mad at me if I don't stream it. I'll be honest. I'm gonna try to force myself because I know that people want to, but I can't. It's just so hard to justify it, knowing like I have less than zero interest. I have less than zero interest in Borderlands 4. Not trying to be rude towards it. Jerry Gamer with a super chat says Lost Soul Dev said something that got almost the whole China gamer community turn against the game and the studio itself. I think it'll flop in China. Really? Jerry Gamer, do you think you could elaborate? What did he say? That's not good. Man, this scratch from Boss is annoying me. Ray, you bought Borderlands 4 for like $20. Played it with a friend twice. I was like, meh. Dragonite, what's going on, man? He said Trump 2028. No way. There's no way he said that. That's not what he said. Oh, no, and I know you're lying. I'm going to get cat scratch fever. Oh, shit. Boss, what are you doing to me, boy? What are you doing, boy? Bro, Jerry Gamer, I'm not going to read that, but you guys can see in the chat, like, what? There's no way he actually said something like that. That's wild, bro. If that's true, that's wild. That's not good. JM, are you about to start playing Expedition 33? Well, I hope you enjoy it, man. Great game. Can't be real. So yeah, guys, Returnal got a PS5 Pro update today. Surprise PS5 Pro update, Returnal out of nowhere. Great to see that. I think that this was a game a lot of people wanted to see upgraded on the PS5 Pro, but it just didn't happen until now. So I haven't played it. I don't know if I'm going to go back and play it. I got too many things I'm playing at the moment, but I was looking at some screenshots and it looks very good. Looks very, very good. I think it's just a raw pixel increase, so the resolution is much higher. Game looks much clearer, crisper. You didn't see a huge difference in the visual quality, maybe subtle. Yeah, I think it's just raw pixel count. They said 2.5 times increase with the pixels. So, do I think Bethesda will get Virtuous to remaster more Elder Scrolls games like Morrowind or Skyrim, like the actual remaster of Skyrim? I mean, you would assume, yeah. Considering how well Oblivion Remaster is doing, you would think so. No more Skyrim. So yeah, let's talk about Lost Soul Aside for a moment. The developer put out a statement saying, "Dear fans, We are truly grateful for the positive response we've received from players all over the world since we announced Lost Souls Side. We remain committed to delivering a high quality game experience. To match the standard Guilty Zero games have set for ourselves, we're going to take some additional time to polish the game. Lost Souls Side will now release on August 29th, 2025. We want to express our heartfelt thanks to our fans waiting for the launch. So, again, the game Lost Souls Side is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive. It was supposed to launch May 30th. Now it's August 29th. And I got to be honest with you guys, like this game's off my radar for now. There's zero chance I'm going to be playing this game when it launches. I would have been there day one if it didn't get delayed. And I'm not trying to blame the devs, for delaying it. They got to delay it. They got to delay it. But the timing, bro, I'm going to be playing Metal Gear when this game comes out. And as far as I'm concerned, when I'm playing Metal Gear, it's like nothing else exists. The only other thing that could interfere with Metal Gear is GTA. Sorry, boss. Scared the shit out of you. The only other thing that I would want to point out is like, I'll be playing Metal Gear at the end of August. And so, Ghost of Yotei comes out October 2nd. That's the thing. Even if I was going to finish up Metal Gear and like towards the end of September, I'm rolling right into Ghost of Yotei. And after that, it's probably GTA 6. So it's like, for me, this game Lost Souls Side, I would like to play it at some point. It basically turned into a 2026 game for me. And I feel bad because, that's small developer. They've been developing it for years. Forza's number 2 on the PlayStation Store right now behind Oblivion. Looks like it's doing good. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Forza. See, this is where, like, I was telling you guys that Microsoft's going to be doing their investors meeting soon, and I think the timing of all these releases is intentional because they're going to show this to the investors. You'll be like, we're dominating on the PlayStation Store. Look at all our games and where they're ranking. And, yeah, I mean, Sony's not going to complain because, again, that's just free money for them. Every copy sold. More engagement on their platform. I think that's another thing that people haven't really talked about is that engagement is very important these days for platforms. A lot of times it's like the number one thing. Hold on, I dropped something. And every game that Microsoft releases, like a Forza or an Oblivion remaster, that's going to increase the engagement on PlayStation. How many Xbox games are in the top 10? I actually don't know. Apparently there's at least 2 though. I imagine there's probably 3. Boss, I'm not trying to be rude, bro, but come on. You can't just do this the whole time. All right? Yeah, but why aren't you dominating on your own platform? Well, I mean, we don't. Simply put, it's because Sony doesn't have they don't have the ability to output games the way Microsoft does. Sony owns, I think, less than half the amount of studios that Microsoft does, and so you also consider the fact that some of the games like Forza Horizon 5 they're ports. You know what I mean? They're ports of games, so it really, I think, bolsters the perception of like, wow, there's Forza, which it is a 4-year-old game, but it's new on PlayStation, and it's a port that required minimal work to bring over. You would assume minimal work, and we at this point, Lost Soul Side being delayed. I mean, I hate to say this, man, but the reality of the situation is that for the first 6 months, almost 7, considering Death Stranding 2 comes out at the end of June, for pretty much like the first 7 months of the year, which is more than half the year, the only game that Sony had was basically Death Stranding 2. And I mean, we can count Days Gone Remastered. I mean, I'll count that because I'm playing it, but generally speaking, it's like if you're talking new games, like just Death Stranding. And, it kind of sucks. Not going to lie. It's just the nature of the beast, I guess. But yeah, that's true. That's true, Mr. B. You're saying MLB and Midnight Murder Club. I forgot about Midnight Murder Club. Man, I wonder how that game's doing. But yeah, MLB the Show, that's true. That is a first party developed game. But it's I mean, that's the thing. A game like MLB that cleans up for Sony every year, dude. MLB, it just, even though it's a it's a yearly release sports title, it doesn't really, you're either into it or you're not. It cleans up big time. Anyway, I'm not trying to be like negative about it. I'm just saying it just, I think, highlights the difference between what's going on with PlayStation Studios versus what's going on with Microsoft, kind of transitioning mainly into publishing. Yesterday, Xbox dropped a new game, Towerborn, and no one's even talking about it. Oh, I didn't even, like another Tuesday, I didn't even know about that. Towerborn. I feel like I heard about that. I heard of that game. So MLB's going to Xbox every year. Yeah, MLB's been completely multi-platform for years now. It's just not on Game Pass anymore. That deal expired. It seems like the MLB did not want this game going into Game Pass anymore. Is it on Switch too? Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's looking like the second half of this year. I mean, the first half of the year, I think, was relatively stacked. Not overwhelming for most people, but with the way things have been like the last week or so, I mean, geez, we're really getting to that point, But hold on, pop this out here. Sorry, my chat disappeared. But looking at yeah, I mean, actually, the more I think about it, the first half of the year was pretty stacked. Yeah, Monster Hunter, Oblivion Expedition, um, Assassin's Creed. There were quite a few games, but it's really starting to look to me like the second half of this year might be one of the craziest years, or craziest. The second half of 2025 could be the craziest, like, stretch of 6 months in gaming that we've ever seen, based off of what I'm looking at and things that have yet to even be dated. Beast Mode, what's up, man? If you want to play the new MLB, you have to get it on PS5. It's not going to PS4. Yeah, it seems like all the sports games finally moved on. Good morning, ice cream. We said when Microsoft leaves the console space, Sony will do less than normal. Well, here's the big change that I noticed. So the difference between the first 6 months of 2025 versus the first 6 months of 2024 is Sony had like 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 games that were deals, basically games that they locked down, that are not from first party studios. You think about Stellar Blade, you think about Rise of the Ronin. I mean, technically, Helldivers 2 is a second party game as well, even though Sony owns the IP. But generally speaking, and also Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So like Sony had just like month after, like every month they had something, basically, and it wasn't from first party, but it, except for Helldivers 2, but it was like deals in place to kind of make sure they have a game each month. I think one of the biggest things that Microsoft basically bowing out of the console space has done in terms of competition is Sony doesn't feel the pressure anymore to feel like they gotta have a game every month or every 2 months. And because of that, I think they're gonna stop striking as many deals. And that's true too. Yeah, many games were canceled. So the idea is maybe Sony would have many more games right now, even if they were a live service, if they weren't canceled. Oh, are Microsoft's financials today? I don't think they're today. Let me see. Oh, wait. I think it is. Yeah. Oh, no, you're right. It is today. Scheduled for 5:30 p.m. EDT. So I guess that EDT, that's Eastern time, right? So that's after the state of play, I believe. Yeah, that'll be interesting. So about the same. Yeah, it'll be about 30 minutes after the state of play. I'll be curious to hear. I mean, I am fascinated. I am. It's going to be really interesting to hear what they have to say about all these games releasing on PlayStation Game Pass. 2 years without a showcase is too long. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow. I think one of the main topics of discussion tomorrow is going to be about PlayStation Showcase and whether or not we can expect one in May. Be a med, what's going on, man? But yeah, I think Sony just doesn't feel as much pressure anymore to like pay money to lock down these games because I mean the the main reason that they would be doing things like that is to make sure that they have some kind of exclusive offering to entice you away from Xbox. Um, but now Xbox is, as weird as it sounds, like Xbox is now in the business of selling PlayStations. So if you're Sony, yeah, you're probably thinking like, well, we're not gonna bother wasting our money on that. Um, and so I think we're already kind of seeing the results of that, where you just don't see like the same type of lineup, right? Like if you were to make a list of like what games does Sony have that are either first or second party exclusive, tariffs will hit Microsoft earnings with their AI division. You were surprised that Expedition's physical copies were sold out in your area, despite the heavy marketing of Game Pass there. Will Gears of War E-Day be on PlayStation? My guess is yes. I do believe 100% that Gears of War E-Day is going to be a day one launch title on PlayStation 5. I'm I'm like 100% on that. If not, then I'll take my L. I'll be wrong, but I think Microsoft, dude, if Forza Horizon 5, apparently the premium edition saw like over 700 or 800,000 people, which is close to a million. Dude, that's $100 game. It seems like Forza Horizon 5 is about to make a killing on PlayStation. And believe me when I tell you, like, when Microsoft sees that, they're going to be like, yes, 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 everything, go now. Day one, we want all the money. Microsoft basically can print money at this point on PlayStation with some of their games. And I think they know that. And I think a game like Gears of War E-Day is one of those games that will absolutely print money if they release it day one. Will Halo Remake be on PlayStation? I mean, there were rumors. Yeah, there were a couple of rumors that claim that a Halo remake or like reboot or something, like a reimagining or something of the first game is in development and it is being built for PlayStation 5. Jerry Gamer, you're saying can't put the link in uh, super chat, limited words, can't explain. Well, I mean, I'll take your word for it, Jerry Gamer. This sounds like something that I didn't um, that yeah, I wasn't aware of. That sucks though. I mean, if he said some controversial statement that basically is going to make it so that this Chinese developed video game is going to do poorly in China, that's very unfortunate. E-Day will have a shot at being day one because it'll have multiplayer. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Microsoft is going to announce the Gears of War collection at this year's showcase, and it's going to be announced it's coming day one to PlayStation. It's going to be the main three games, the mainline games, with no multiplayer, and then after that, they're going to start marketing Gears of War E-Day, and they're going to announce that that's also going to be day one on PlayStation, and that's where the live service multiplayer is going to exist. And yeah, I mean, it's just one of these things where it's like Gears of War E-Day having a really robust and fleshed out multiplayer component, live service multiplayer component makes sense. I think it would do relatively well on Xbox, if not very well. Um, it'll be on PC, but the idea of it launching, because like think about the timing of when Gears of War EDA is going to launch, right? If it does go day one, then it'll probably be doing so in 2026, unless it's a surprise launch this year. It'll be launching to over 80 million PS5s, probably over 85 million. Um, that's huge. Like, and considering it's going to be the next mainline Gears of War game, it'll have a live service multiplayer component. It'll probably have co-op. I mean, if you're Microsoft, dude, you're probably you're seeing dollar signs. You're seeing dollar signs. You know, there's no doubt about that. Only counts if Crackdown goes to PlayStation. That'd be so funny if Crackdown goes to PlayStation. Remember when Xbox was dominating during the 360 era, and now they're quitting consoles just to create games? Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame what happened with the Xbox One, dude, because Microsoft really had it lined up. You know, like they had the momentum, and all they had to do, I think, going from the 360 into the Xbox One was just do more of what you did with the 360 with a few innovations where you can here and there, but nothing, no need to rattle the cage, no need to reinvent the wheel. And I felt, you look back on it and it's like, yeah, they definitely were like, let's just reinvent the wheel. And it's like, well, that's not what anybody asked for. That's not what anybody wanted. And it's just really interesting to me to think about an alternate timeline where the Xbox One wasn't a disaster. Like if the Xbox One was essentially offering the same thing that the PS4 was, and there was like heavier competition, and the PS4 didn't just immediately, you know, essentially like break the Xbox brand in half. I think we'd be looking at a completely different timeline right now where we wouldn't be having any of these conversations. Um, it just wouldn't be what it is right now. But this is the timeline we're in, and the days of intense competition between Sony and Microsoft are over. Could it ever return? Maybe. Probably not though. No, but yeah, timing is everything. I mean, you could make the argument that a lot of the things that Microsoft was trying to implement with the Xbox One are like standard now, but it was too much too soon. It's all about the timing. Sega just packed it up real fast compared to Xbox. Such a slow demise. Yeah, I mean, one of the more interesting things we learned were with those emails during the Activision Blizzard trials or whatever. Like, we were just straight up reading internal emails between like Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Satya Nadella, and one of the emails I remember reading was like Phil Spencer's enthusiasm and excitement for the series consoles, and how he really believed like this is it, this is our chance, and he sent that to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, and Satya Nadella was just like, okay, and then it just it failed. It just failed out of the gate, and one of the strangest things is you look at the fact that like people talk about the lineup of games that Microsoft has now. And like, yeah, dude, they have the biggest and best lineup they've ever had, objectively. Like, there's no arguing against that. But it's like the sacrifice that had to be made was like, well, we have to sacrifice the console now, you know? Because think about it, like the only reason they have this lineup is because they bought publishers. And in buying those publishers, that suddenly got all of Microsoft involved, all the eyes of the board on Xbox, and they're like, so about those profit margins. Surely you guys aren't buying Bethesda and Activision Blizzard to make games exclusive and sell consoles where we don't really get high profit margins on a console sale, right? Yeah, Titanfall 3 was canceled. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. So Kojima's game with Jordan Peele will be on PlayStation? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that every game is going to be on PlayStation. I don't see how it couldn't. Uh, hold on. Okay. Yeah, it was an extraction shooter. So I have a report here from Push Square. They say EA has confirmed a round of layoffs across its development studios, with Star Wars Jedi team Respawn Entertainment seemingly hit the hardest. According to a Bloomberg report that builds on EA's statement, around 300 to 400 employees have reportedly lost their jobs. Around 100 of those positions were within Respawn Entertainment, and the studio has had to cancel 2 games that were in early development. And we actually have an interesting follow up with the Titanfall game that was supposedly in early development. Jason Schreier Bloomberg reports that one of them was a Titanfall game designed to be an extraction shooter. Officially, an EA spokesperson said, as part of our continued focus on our long-term strategic priorities, we've made select changes within our organization that more effectively aligns teams and allocates resources in service of driving future growth. Respawn Entertainment had also issued a statement of its own where it confirmed 2 early-stage incubation projects have been canceled. These decisions aren't easy, and we are deeply grateful for every team affected. And so, yeah, we are hearing that one of these games was the third Titanfall game, which was being developed as a Titanfall extraction shooter. But apparently, the most depressing part about this is that the Titanfall extraction shooter was like 75% done. So it was canceled deep into development. That's what the rumor's claiming. You got into both Marathon and the Arc Raiders tests. All I can say is that Sony should be worried about Marathon. Arc Raiders plays 10 times better. You're not the first person I'm seeing say this. I think Sony might be cursed, man. Yeah, Arc Raiders is an extraction shooter, and I'm hearing from people that like apparently this game dumps on Marathon. And yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just ready for Sony to. I don't know what dude. I'm gonna be honest. When it comes to multiplayer, like I'm gonna remove Helldivers 2 from this statement because Helldivers 2 was luck. It's no offense to Arrowhead, but like literally nobody understood that Helldivers 2 was gonna be a mega hit. Like the only thing that Sony probably thought Helldivers 2 would do is a decent job. Nobody cared about Arc Raiders until Marathon. Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. Apparently, it's going to be releasing this year, but I just don't know what Sony is doing when it comes to multiplayer. I think that like I'm really just starting to think that yeah, Marathon I think is going to be a flop, dude. Like I don't mean to be so negative about it. It's just I don't I don't have anything to present to you to tell you otherwise. I can't look at the viewership on Twitch and say, look at how many people are watching. If anything, if I show that to you, it makes you feel worse because it's like, oh wow, people aren't watching this game. Like people are not interested. If I present to you feedback that Bungie's getting, generally speaking, most of it's not good. I don't know. I don't know, man. Am I going to try the beta for Arc Raiders? Whenever they do like a public thing, I'll definitely try it. I do think Arc Raiders looks better. It's not that I don't want multiplayer from Sony. It had good viewership on Twitch the first day, and then it just dropped like a fly. I want multiplayer from Sony. I'm just tired of them trend chasing, dude. And you know, I'm just tired of all the time. Like, just so many developers were like, we got to do this type of game because this is the thing now. It's like, no, just Just make a fucking good multiplayer. Like, I don't understand why it's so hard. Like, Sony Studios have made good, competent multiplayer games in the past, all throughout the PS3 generation, and even just a select few in the PS4. Like, they've already done this. I just don't understand, man. I don't understand like why this is so difficult. Tired of live service. I mean, I've talked before about how like Sony can't abandon live service. They just like they can't. They're a publicly traded company. They're one of the biggest gaming platforms and publishers in the world. The investors are going to demand that they do something in live service. I just don't understand why it's like everything that not everything, but like so much of what they're presenting and trying is just like you can't it just they don't know what they're doing. Like that's the big thing. They simply do not know what they're doing. Concord is the biggest proof of that. And where's Fair Games, dude? Fair Games has been in development since 2021. Like, where is that game? I'm telling you, that game's probably being reworked completely because they thought they had something and they learned real quick, like, you know what, though? People who are fans of Bungie, and I know that there are people who are fans of Marathon, and maybe when I play the game, I will be like, actually, this is really great, and I'm rooting for it, and I want it to succeed, and I'm rooting for Bungie. But it's just, if Marathon fails, dude, like, at some point, Sony's gonna have to, like, just stop what they're doing with live service. Or like take a long extended break, because it's like, if you spent $3.6 billion, like it's one thing to spend a couple $100 million on Firewalk and Concord, and that results in nothing. Like we had to shut the studio down, cancel the game, pretend it never existed. Okay, you're out a couple $100 million, which, don't get me wrong, that's still a lot of money. But you compare that to $3.6 billion. Sony paid $3.6 billion to retain most of Bungie's developers to only end up having to lay off like a third of them. They could have spent $70 billion that they'll never see. I mean, if Sony ever spent $70 billion on something, that'd probably be the end of their company. But it's frustrating sometimes, man. It is. Like, I understand that Sony is under some kind of pressure because there are these, what they call them, black hole games that exist on their platform that are just taking all of the attention and all of the time and all of the money. And Sony is getting portions of that money. They're getting 30% rips on everything. But there's always going to be this desire. It's like, as long as this is a major component of gaming, Sony's going to feel like they have to be involved. It just pisses me off that it's like, when are you going to get the right people in charge? But hopefully they are now. I don't know. I mean, Herman Hulst is still there. It's like, when are you going to get somebody in there that actually is like, you know what? I think I know what kind of live service game PlayStation players might want. It's frustrating, dude, because it's like, I'm only speaking for PlayStation players, not Bungie fans. I know that Bungie has a really hardcore, dedicated group of followers. I'm not talking about them, but I can tell you right now, like, PlayStation players did not ask for Marathon at any point. Nobody who plays mainly on PlayStation was like, you know what, though? You know what? I think we need an extraction shooter that's set in some kind of far future. It's just, nobody asked for that. I know I'm like ranting, and I know I did a lot of ranting yesterday, but I don't know. I keep trying to like have this positive, like, maybe it'll be better than I think. And then it just never is. To be fair, the only thing that actually did work out that I was positive about was Helldivers. I knew Helldivers was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. So I'm not trying to like make it sound like Sony only shits the bed or only ever steps on the rake. It's just it it shouldn't be this hard. It really, really, really. There are people being paid copious amounts of money to come up with these ideas, and I just don't get it. Zombie Dragon, thank you for the super chat, buddy. You're saying the problem is Marathon and Concord are not bad games. They're actually good, and the problem is they're not doing anything interesting, and the reason why Helldivers 2 took off is because there's nothing quite like it. And I agree with that. I agree. Like, Concord on paper, there's nothing actually wrong with it. It's just that the main takeaway is like, but who wants this right now? Like the problem with Concord is that that's a game that in 2016 and 17, maybe it's like, oh, you know what? I think people might be asking for this right now. But, in 2024, people are looking at that being like, are you serious? And you're right. Helldivers 2, as we've talked about, Helldivers 2, it thrived. The reason why Helldivers 2 thrived is because it didn't chase a trend. It did the opposite. Arrowhead said, F you, bro. Like, we don't care. We don't care what's going on in the industry right now. We don't care, how other live service games are run. We don't care if this game is too difficult or annoying or, whatever. They don't care. They're just like, this is what we made because we think it's awesome. And it feels really fun to play to us. And you could make the argument that maybe the developers of Concord felt that way too, but it's just like the difference there is that, one team of developers genuinely made something unique that there's not really anything like this out there. The other group of developers made something that is all, you can find anywhere. No matter how much they enjoyed it themselves, it's like looking at it from a market perspective. It's like, yeah, dude, it's just you get it anywhere, essentially. You think Marathon's going to cook? I mean, it's the one thing I can say about Marathon is it doesn't really matter what it does because Sony will not see that money. Like, Bungie's not going to ever make back $3.6 billion. I don't know, man. I just find myself frustrated. That's all. Like, I'm trying to look at things from a more objective standpoint. And sometimes I sit back and I think, so let me get this straight. Sony spent billions upon billions of dollars into a massive live service investment. And we only got one successful product out of it after 5 or 6 years or longer, actually. And not most of, but some of the things that we were interested in, that we were excited about, got canceled. And now, because they put so much raw investment into live service, and most of those projects got canceled, and a lot of those teams have to kind of start over, now we have probably half the single-player games that we otherwise would, because time and resources and all that stuff. And in the middle of all that, Sony can kind of look around and be like, well, I guess it kind of works out because, well, now we got Microsoft games. So, but that's the thing that if there's one thing that probably pisses Sony off, maybe not half, maybe half is a bit of an exaggeration, but at least a third, right? The thing that probably pisses Sony off still, even though they're getting Microsoft's games, is Microsoft is now the one with the successful live service games. It started with Minecraft, but now it's Call of Duty. Now they're going to be putting Forza on here, and that trend is likely to just continue where Microsoft has all these different live service games, and they're all doing, not all of them are succeeding, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I will die on this hill And granted, it's not a hill that I was originally on. It's not a hill that I ever thought I would be on. Because when Sony announced that they bought Bungie, I thought, you know what, maybe this is a really smart move. They know what they're doing. But where we are now, it's like I will die on the hill where I say that Sony buying Bungie will go down as the biggest mistake that the company ever made. Not even just PlayStation, just the biggest mistake the company ever made, because it's like, I do remember when they bought Bungie, there were other PlayStation players saying like, this is a huge mistake. And I would ask them like, why? Why do you think that? And they're like, because Sony bought them out of panic. And I didn't believe that. I was like, no, they wouldn't do that. Like, they wouldn't just buy these guys out of panic. You'd have to be stupid to do that. And they were like, no, dude, if you look at the history of PlayStation, like, they don't just buy studios. They don't just randomly buy studios. They only buy teams that they work with for years and feel very confident and comfortable with. And I kind of denied that. I was in a bit of denial where I'm like, well, no. They've worked with Bungie before. You know, they know what they're doing. And then it's just like, you know, years go by and the entire studio erodes because Sony bought a dud, and now Sony is just like left with Marathon and all of Bungie. And I don't know. I think Jim Ryan retired because he's like, you know what? Well, we tried and it's not working out. But I really think that when we look back on it, because all I think to myself is $3.6 billion. How many single player games could you make with $3.6 billion? How many devs could you hire to work at Naughty Dog, to work at Sucker Punch, to work at Guerrilla, and have them working on like 4 different single player games at one time with $3.6 billion? And I can't help but just have this chip on my shoulder where it's like, it's hard not to. I'm not. It's hard not to be pissed at Bungie, but it's like not Bungie's fault. It's Sony's, dude. Like, Bungie knew that they needed to be purchased. They're like, we got to find a buyer, and Sony was the one who fell for it. You know, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. You know. Yeah. To be fair, they would have never put 3.6. But you know what? Think about even like, let's just take $1 billion. A $1 billion investment into growing your single player teams and making more single player games. Like, why don't we fucking hear stuff like that ever? That's what pisses me off, dude. Like, not just for Sony, but in the industry. Like, you just don't hear that. It's like, because it's too risky. And it's like, really, it's that's more risky than making a live service flop that's dead in a week or dead in a month. Really? I just think at some point, like, the investors and the people who are running these companies need a wake up call, dude. Like, you're not going to be Fortnite. Accept it. You're not going to be Fortnite. You're not going to be Call of Duty. Well, I mean, Microsoft realized they're not going to be Call of Duty. That's why they bought Call of Duty, because they were like, we're not going to be Call of Duty, so we should just buy them. And now they can say we're Call of Duty because we own them. And yeah, if it's like, Sony, if you can't buy Fortnite, then stop trying to be Fortnite. If you can't buy PUBG or whatever, then, well, to be fair, they're not really trying to be PUBG, but I was trying to think of like there are no like huge extraction shooters, but I don't know, man. I'm just kind of venting my frustrations with Sony because we're going to have this conversation tomorrow, but it's like, if Sony does do a showcase this year, like, there's a good chance they're going to show fair games at that showcase. And I just want to leave, you know, I don't want to see it. I'm sorry. Like, no offense to that team, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the Horizon multiplayer game because I just know in my gut, I just know deep down, like, I know what's coming. They didn't cancel these games. And so my only hope is that if Sony does have a show and they have to show this stuff. Please, God, please have some really, really awesome single player stuff to show that completely take my mind away from the obvious train wreck that's going to be Fair Games. Fair Games will be their Fortnite. Could you imagine? Dude, that would be the funniest thing ever. I would laugh so hard if it's like, actually, Fair Games is the next big thing. You just don't know it. That would be so funny. I mean, I'd be happy for them. I'd be like, great. I mean, if it were to achieve that level of success. But see, that's the thing is, like, I look at a game like Fortnite, and I played Fortnite, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I get it, but I don't at the same time. Like, Fortnite's a good game. It's not that good. It's really not. It's pretty simple and basic. And you could maybe make the argument that, like, that's exactly why it is as successful as it is. And I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know. Saying it's better than good? Well, to be fair, it's been a long time since I played Fortnite. I haven't played it lately. You think it's the building? Well, I'd be happy for $1 billion company with a game you wouldn't play. Well, I guess I would just be happy in that, like, okay, can we rest now? Can we rest? You know, you got what it is you want it. Can we move on? Fortnite is ass now. Fortnite no build is fun. I just never got it. Now, maybe that's because I was like a PUBG player. PUBG I understood. PUBG I got. I'm like, this is awesome. And I think PUBG and Fortnite were kind of opposites. You know, like PUBG is like it's a game that you really have to get good at the mechanics. Like, I mean, you have to really understand the depth of and the nuance of the mechanics, or you're just going to get worked over and over and over again. I never got into Apex Legends. Come on, boss. All right, I'll give you a couple. Just to chill it out. We didn't get any memberships, but God, you need to leave me alone. Sony should consider putting Marathon on PlayStation Plus. You seem to gravitate away from games with cartoony or stylish graphics, so it doesn't surprise me you feel that way. Well, to be honest, it's not so much that. Like, for example, one of the games that I loved, truly, like, I'm like, dude, this game is amazing, and I became a major fan, and it has some of the most cartoony graphics out there. It's very silly, almost childish, is the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare games. I'm like, these games are competent as hell. Like, these are really fun. And, of course, like, I've always been open to games with different art styles. I don't like games that reek of, like, you know, you're like they're trying too hard. Where like you're so desperate for success in this space that you're trying to check off all the boxes, and it reeks of just trend chasing. And part of the trend chasing, unfortunately, has become like, look at our cartoony graphics and our really broadly appealing Fortnite-esque art style. And that's why I just cringe that's why I was cringing at the art style of the potential Horizon game, because I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You know? Like I do get frustrated where it's like, who at Sony doesn't realize that this is a mistake to do it this way? Like, even Herman should know. Like, Herman, you made Horizon, bro. You should know what makes it great, and it's not graphics like this, bro. Like, why do you want kids to grow up with Horizon in this way? Because they're not going to. That's not going to happen. Boss, did you literally inhale those? Illegal Monkey with a super chat says, back in my day, we only had deathmatch and we were happy with it. Stomp's foot. I know this. I should rename this. I should rename the stream just like old PlayStation fan yells at the clouds. Old gamer yells at the clouds. Crowds. I just said clouds as if I was an individual with a thick Asian accent. Chasing the trend is what happens when they don't have original or good ideas. MBG isn't even a boomer, but whines as if he is one. I know. I know I've been a bit of a buzzkill the past 2 streams, but it's just because I'm sorry, man. Like, I can't help but be frustrated right now with Sony because I'm just Sony has turned me into a doomer, bro. Where like, oh yeah, listen, I still come across. Can you stop, bro? I just gave you treats. It's these freaking catnip infused treats, man. I just. You're done. He's like, yeah, he's like beating the treats. Like, do you think hitting? Okay, what are you doing, bro? Get out. Get. I'm sorry, guys. He's just. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I just gave you treats. No, back up, back up, back up. Getting on my nerves. Maybe boss is the reason I'm in such a bad mood these days. Bro, you need to visit my anti-doomer training camp. Well, listen, I still come across like PlayStation fans, like enthusiasts, you know, or fanboys, whatever terminology you want to use. And they still have like this great hope. I mean, like an immense amount of hope and faith that like they're going to do the big show. It's going to be amazing. It's only going to get better. And I'm like, how? How do you like? I say this as somebody who I still enjoy PlayStation. I do. I still play PlayStation. It's still my favorite place to play. I had no desire to go anywhere else. But it's just like, where does that come from? And I'm not trying to be rude. Like, I'm just genuinely like, I wish I could be that way because I was that way. But it's like, it's been years of just like, okay, I was wrong about that. And I was wrong about that too. And this didn't turn out quite the way I thought it would be. And everything's turning out not the way I thought. And at some point I started thinking, am I just cursed? Like, am I just cursed or something? Because like right now, it's like, aren't you guys excited for the state of play? And it's like, no, I'm not. No offense to Borderlands 4, but it's like, is there a reason this can't be a Death Stranding state of play? You know, the game that's coming out in 2 months. Any reason at all. Money's why, MBG. It's because Take-Two Interactive paid Sony to do this. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good reason. Doesn't make me feel any better. Because people aren't as doomer as me. Well, yeah, I mean, granted, I've always acknowledged that I cover this too much. Like, I cover PlayStation too much. I'm too obsessed with PlayStation. So these things that a lot of normal people will just look at and be like, whatever, and then just walk away from, I can't help but kind of like gravitate towards where it's like, bro. Like, I put out a tweet yesterday that I ended up deleting where somebody pulled up that clip of The Last of Us Part 2 talking about how they lied or like Naughty Dog misdirected it, or it was like false marketing where, you know, somebody like went behind Ellie and like grabbed her, and then she turns around and it's Joel was like, you didn't think I'd let you do this on your own, did you? And it like brought back like a flood of memories where I was like, holy shit. And I like made this like really like it basically triggered me. I'm like, I'm making this angry tweet. And it was funny because it was like, it made me like the responses I was getting from people were like, bro, this was like 5 years ago. It's like 5 years ago. It's okay. Like, we could just move on. Now, granted, that's the basis of Twitter. Like, I wasn't the one who even posted that originally. Somebody else posted it. But it's like, yeah. What am I doing here, bro? Like, it's over. It's been over. This is 5 years old. Let's move on to bigger and better things. I know Borderlands is a big game. I know it's good for Sony. I know that, but I'm just kind of at a point where like, I don't know that I'm worried about what's good for Sony anymore. You know what's good for Sony? Making that sweet Forza Horizon. Boss, I'm going to throw you. I'm going to throw this boy. Somebody drop memberships right now. I'm going to throw this cat. He's got to go. You're out. Boss making me fucking rage over here. Sony will probably make more from Borderlands than Death Stranding. You're probably right. You're probably right, bro. Flashback to the trauma. When Microsoft is giving PlayStation players 4 times the amount of games as PS themselves, the crash out is warranted. Boss got excommunicated. I don't know, man. I just feel like I've been waiting for a long. Not to be clear, like Sony's done a lot of great things this generation. It's just I feel like I've been waiting for them to kind of like get back on the horse. You know, like you guys figured it. You know, you went through some rough patches, and it's normal. Some road bumps, but we're back, right? And it's just like it's not happening, dude. It's still not. And I'm like, please don't tell me like we're gonna have to wait till next gen for Sony to like get it together. I mean, and really get back to like peak prime form, right? Like where we like to become the version that we know they can be. Surely we're not gonna have to wait till next gen. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Boss needs his name changed to janitor. It's going to make more from Astrobot than Marathon. They're saving the hype for the PS6. You would love to see the Sony fanfare and fan service of old. Microsoft has Gears and Halo collections ready to drop on PlayStation back to back. Why would they need to have you feel that way? And see, that's the thing, man, is I don't know. I've been looking at PlayStation is in this place where like they don't have pressure. There's like an inherent pressure where it's like you have to continue to run the business and generate revenue and profit. And that's just going to require you to do things, right? So that's always there, but it's just like when you think about, and this is the truth, man, like when people think about why was Sony so crazy during the PS4 gen or the end of the PS3 gen? Do you remember when Sony did the advertising for the PS3? It was like Kevin Butler or whatever. And it was like making fun of corporate Sony in a way. Like they were self-deprecating, basically. And then that leads into the PS4 era. And it's just like, bro, what I don't like about modern PlayStation is granted, they have new leadership. They've had like the people who were making the decisions at the end of the PS3 gen and the beginning of the PS4 gen, they're not there anymore. They're gone. They have completely new leadership. What I don't like about modern day Sony or PlayStation is like they believe they're like above that. And it does make you kind of sad where it's like don't forget where you came from. Like you're not above that. You're fucking a gaming company. Like you're not Apple, and you shouldn't want to be like Apple because Apple sucks in a lot of ways too. And there's just this kind of like, you start to get a little annoyed at that energy that's being exuded. Like, we need another giant enemy crab moment. Is what we need. Sony's got to get a little humility. You know what? Next PlayStation showcase, I better see that giant enemy crab moment. Ridge Racer, let's go. Come on. I don't know. Shit just makes me nervous because you would think that Concord humbled Sony, but I feel like it didn't humble them, man. I think they just were like, if we just pretend it didn't happen, then it never happened, right? It's like, no, that did happen, dude. No, the way it really works is Sony probably was briefly humbled. Truthfully, Sony was probably briefly humbled by Concord, but then 3 months later, they're like, we just won Game of the Year. Thanks to Astrobot. You know, I mean, if I was Sony, that's how I'd feel. I'd be like, we still got it. Ain't no problem. You know, just tripped up a little bit. We figured it out though. So what would they need to do to get you to feel better, like another State of Gaming showcase? Truthfully, not much. Honestly, it's not much. The big thing that I would like to see Sony do is feel like they actually care about talking to the fans that care the most. That's all I would like, because that's what I didn't like about the way they talked about Ghost of Yotei. Like, I'm sorry to complain about it again, but it's just like they just dump it out. Like, they just dump it out there. Like, here you go, whatever. And I'm like, bro, this is your biggest first party game of the year. Microsoft gave more attention to a game, to a game that wasn't even theirs, Clair Obscur, in their own direct in January. You know, like, they gave a game like that more attention than you're giving your own fucking game. And that, it really does frustrate me, where it's like, are you trying to hide something? Because if you're not, I don't understand why you're behaving this way. Like, what happened to the PlayStation that came out in 2017 and 2018, like, flexing Ghost of Tsushima on people? Like, check out this fucking 10-minute demo. Isn't that awesome? Here's another, and we're gonna make sure it's in a big show for everybody to see. I'm just saying that, like, Sony seems to actively avoid doing that anymore. And I don't know why. I really don't know why. Where it's just like, why don't you want to show your shit and get people excited? And then they're like, oh, no, we will. Here's Marathon. It's like, not that, Sony, not that. That's like, literally, that's the last. I'm not saying we don't want to see that, but it's just, why just that? I mean, yeah, there's no doubt that it's part of just the way modern businesses operate, where like shorter marketing cycles seem to be the way to go. But I'm just like, I don't know, man. You know what I do know? And here's where I'll look at. I'm looking at you, Sony. I'm looking at you. Microsoft's about to have a massive showcase on June 8th. Okay. And I know that the console doesn't really matter for them anymore, but they're going to have a massive, probably close to 2-hour long showcase with a direct. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Sony. I'm like, at a point, Sony, can you just start giving Microsoft your games to market for PlayStation? Because at least then I know they'll show it in their showcase. The answer's obvious. Xbox actually won. PS fans can't go 10 minutes into a podcast without talking about them. They sacrificed the console war to win the mindshare battle, living rent-free in every... Damn, Microsoft living rent-free. Well, I don't know, but to be fair, though, like, it's not like they're living rent-free in a negative way, where it's like, we're bothered by it. Like Microsoft is disturbing me. Like, no, Microsoft used to disturb me. Now they don't. But now Microsoft is here. Like, they moved in. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Actually, they got some pretty they got some pretty good shit. But it's like, Microsoft isn't Sony, though. Like, that's the thing. Microsoft isn't Sony. Where it's like, bro, Sony, like, I get it. If I were you, I'd be sitting back counting my money too. But now Sony disturbs me. Yeah, Sony's disturbing. I mean, to be fair, I would be... There's an argument to be made, dude. For sure. Like, imagine a different timeline where Microsoft didn't put their games on PlayStation. Like, I would love to know what Sony would be doing right now if Microsoft never gave up and never went third party, but they still had all these games. And maybe the only game that never went exclusive was like Call of Duty. You know? I would love to know, like, Sony, what would you be doing right now? How would you be feeling? And it's like, I have a hard time believing they would be operating that. Like, I have a hard time believing they would just blog post Ghost of Yotei. I'm just saying, man. I'd have a hard time believing they would just straight up blog post Ghost of Yotei. Because my rant would be probably 10 times more aggressive. If it's just hard to be aggressive anymore, because it's like, I get it, man. Like, Sony doesn't have a reason to give a shit. Microsoft turned to them and said, we're not going to try to damage you anymore. Even though we failed at that, we couldn't damage you. So we're just going to help you make more money. We're going to get 70, you're going to get 30, and your players are going to get more games. And that's why it's like, I'm not trying to make it sound like, because people are like, why aren't you enjoying games? Aren't you playing games? Like, yes. But I don't know, man. I just hate the way that Sony has completely given up seemingly giving a shit about, capturing the fan base the way that they used to. And I think that's all it boils down to, dude, is that Microsoft still does that. You can hate Microsoft and you can, and trust me, I see people where they're like, Microsoft is the fucking word. They're garbage, bro. Like Xbox, trash pass. Xbox is just a dumpster fire. You could feel the absolute worst about them, but you know what you can't say? That they're not doing a big ass showcase. That, let's face it, everybody's going to want to tune into, or at least most people are going to want to tune into. You can't say they're not doing that. You know what you can say? That Sony isn't doing that. And that's where I'm like, come on, man. Like, I at some point I am becoming the guy, the stick figure. Like, I'm poking Sony with the stick. Like, come on, bro, do something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a mood today. I'm sure. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the upcoming PlayStation showcase. I didn't huff enough hopium today. It's Doomer BG today. Microsoft put on the best acting for regulators. MBG turn heel. MBG Xbox fanboy. Dude, here's the reality. I couldn't become an Xbox fanboy because that doesn't exist anymore. Think about it like this. You remember when I used to be, this is many years ago, but like in 2016 and 17, when I used to be like, I'm Xbox and I was like not on PlayStation, and I wasn't on PlayStation since like the mid PS3 days or something. Imagine I never moved over to PlayStation and I just stuck with Xbox. Think about what would have happened. Microsoft would have literally came to me and said, you should probably go to PlayStation. That's what they would have done. Where it's like, even if I held out for years, I'm like, no, I still believe you guys will get it together. Like, at some point, they would have had to turn to me and be like, we're not making a mid-gen refresh. Sony is, and we're putting our games over there optimized for that console. You're probably going to want to go over there. Like, what you want us to do, they're doing right now. And it's like, so I won't lose access to your games even if I were to leave? It's like, no. And that's why this whole situation's just weird, dude. Because, like, that's the reality of it, where, like, there is no such thing as like if you're an Xbox fan today, what I mean to say is the Xbox fan of 2025 is not the same as the Xbox fan in 2021, right? Or 2022. There's been something removed from, like, Microsoft took it away from their fans, where there's like, you can't be a fan. Like, I guess you technically can. On the most technical, like, you could say I'm an Xbox fan. I'm a fan of the ecosystem, but it's like, it's hard to explain, but I think you understand what I'm trying to convey. Like, you just can't really rally around what Xbox was supposed to be anymore. All you can do is rally around what they are now, which isn't a bad thing. It's just what they are now is not what they were supposed to be. And so, I do see people that are like, well, hey, man, Xbox has got great games and they got Game Pass. And that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with rallying around those things. You could argue that's the most important thing. But it can't, there was some kind of sacrifice there where it's like there's a reason why in February of 2024 when Microsoft made it clear that like we're going to start, all the reports came out and like the whole internet burst into flames, or like the whole Xbox fan base burst into flames because they realized like, oh, it's over. I think it's actually over. Like it's happening. Like the day has come. And it was a big deal then. It's not a big deal now because it's been just a slow, it's melting slowly, I guess, a slow melt. The mythical dragon of a showcase. I love that. I love the idea of calling the PlayStation Showcase it has become a mythical dragon. It has. MBG, ironically enough, if Microsoft never went full third party, do you think you'd be close to convinced that to get an Xbox for their games now? Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, if Microsoft was out here being like, yeah, we're like these games are going to be exclusive, there are some games. It wouldn't have been Forza Horizon 5 was already out, but it's like when I saw that showcase from Xbox last year, I was like, damn, they're showing a lot. They're showing a lot. And there have always been some games. I mean, again, I think people forget that I did go out of my way to play Hellblade because that's a game I was waiting for. I'm like, yeah, that game's not coming to PlayStation. I want to play it though. And I did. And it's safe to say that if Microsoft was still committed in that way, where it's like, yeah, we still care about the console. It may not be doing great, but we still care, and we're locking these games down as exclusive. They have so many games coming that at some point, it may not have been like 5 or 6 games, but it could have been 2 or 3, or even just 1 or 2 that at some point would have brought me over. I don't think it would have been Indiana Jones. Forza. I was okay with skipping 5 because I did everything in 4, and I'm like, well, maybe the next one. But a game like State of Decay 3, something like that, it's like, yeah, that's going to pull me over, right? I have a secret Series X under my blanket. But Doom, Doom would be a big one. I could see that pulling me over. But that's what's interesting about it, is it's just like, that it's that conversation is no different than talking about Sony doing the best showcase in the world, because it's like, well, but it's just not real right now. It's not how it's going down. Or that conversation is like talking about if right now Sony announced a secret Wolverine State of Play surprise. Moonshot with the direct donation says, I also can't rally around Xbox shows either. I got no props for Microsoft gobbling up third-party publishers and now has all these third-party games to show. Cheap. I mean, the truth of the matter is, if Xbox's showcase did what I would expect Sony's showcase to do, I probably wouldn't be having this conversation. If I understand that there are Xbox players that they hear my complaining and my like bitching at Sony, and they interpret that as like, yeah, like Microsoft won or Microsoft's better. And it's like, listen, there are still things that Sony does that Microsoft simply cannot. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's kind of always been to a degree. And all I'm really advocating for is for Sony to start doing those things at a different level, at a level that they used to. Money, you're saying like, well, don't freak out when I say this, because I know some people are going to like, oh, Jesus, here we go. Like, they're going to like literally storm out of the room. But it's like this. Think of it like this. One of the reasons why I can't stop talking about The Last of Us Part 2 is because The Last of Us Part 2 represents exactly what I just said. There is no other developer in the world, including Microsoft, that could make a game like The Last of Us Part 2. It just so happens that very special game that can only be developed by this one studio underneath this one publisher. They happen to go in a direction that makes me feel like I want to flip a table. And it exists in this space where it's like, hold on now. They're doing something that nobody else can do, but they're not doing it in just the right way. And you might be thinking, well, maybe you're too entitled to have it, to be thinking it's got to be just the right way. But the only reason that entitlement exists in the first place, or not entitlement, but expectation, I should say, exists in the first place, is because that's what they did it before. And I believe they can do it again. So really what it goes back to is The Last of Us, right? When I sit here and I say that Microsoft still can't do things that Sony can do, I mean that. And that's not a slight at Microsoft. If that upsets you, Microsoft admitted that themselves. And that is Sony's ace up their sleeve. A game like The Last of Us, to me, is like, holy shit, there's nothing like this out there. Nobody has done what this game is doing. Certainly not Microsoft, but nobody else really is either. A game like God of War 2018, like, these are games that make PlayStation special. And you realize, like, this is why I want to be here. And Sony used to kind of like seemingly take more pride in that, where like they were aggressive and like, we want to show you this game. We're so proud of this game. We want to have a developer who's working on this game sit down and play it in front of you for 8 minutes to show you how awesome it is. And that's the way Sony used to operate. And now it feels like they've again, we just exist in an alternate space where it's like, you're still creating things that are, I would say, well above average, that you can't really go anywhere else for something like this. You know, something like Death Stranding 2 and them locking that down and supporting that and funding it, I think, is a great example of what I'm talking about. Where, like, you don't get games like Death Stranding anywhere else, you know? But it's just like, I mean, is it going to live up? Or is there going to be some kind of like, oh, wait, hold on though. Is my love for PlayStation based on trauma? No. So I grew up with PlayStation, but what brought me back and won me over was people were like, bro, you got to go play God of War 2018. Like, you got to play The Last of Us. Stuff like that. You know, like these games that Sony was releasing. And I remember I went into them. I'm like, I'm pretty sure these games are not going to be as good as people make it sound. People are like, got to play Bloodborne and shit. And I started playing them and I was like, no fucking way. Like, I just got it. I don't know. Like, I played them and I was like, The Last of Us 2 gave me trauma. Yeah. But I don't know. It's just like, there's this kind of question. There's this question where it's like, did it all peak? Right? Like, if The Last of Us, in my eyes, is like one of the greatest video games ever made. Like, I mean, just, there's nothing out there quite like it. Even the sequel, the sequel didn't live up to what I thought it would be or wanted it to be. And in my eyes, the first one's still that much better. A lot of people look at God of War 2018 that way, where they're like, oh, God of War 2018 is definitely way better than Ragnarok. I think Ragnarok was still incredible. But like, now we got Ghost of Yotei coming up. And it's like, is Ghost of Yotei going to be as good as Tsushima? Or is it going to be one of those things where it's like, you play it and it's like, it's still really great, but like the peak was Ghost of Tsushima. Is that going to be the trend? Has that been the trend? But I don't know. I'm not fully convinced of that, where it's like, I look at a game like Saros, which is coming up, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure Saros is going to be even better than Returnal. And we have a Moonshot here with a couple more direct donations. And he says, hold on. He says, Sony still needs to bring the fanfare and hype shows back, but literally name the game's Xbox first-party release this whole gen without Bethesda/ABK. Majority of Microsoft games announced from 2020 2021 are not out yet. now they can have these big shows for third-party games we were getting anyway. Not exciting. Yeah, you do bring up a good point, Moonshot. Like, it is weird to like hype up games that we were going to get anyway. Now, granted, a game like Forza we weren't going to get, but yeah, like a game like Doom, any game from Bethesda really, and any game from ABK, these were games we were always going to get. And so the only real celebration is they're not taking them away from us, which is worth celebrating if they own them, absolutely. And considering like it's coming from a place where the expectation was they were going to make them exclusive for their console. So that is worth a little celebration. But generally speaking, that's what I mean, dude. Like, I am more interested in games like Fable, in games like State of Decay 3, in games that, like basically were already being built in-house at Microsoft. I'm still interested in games like Blade and seeing other titles being announced by Microsoft or from Bethesda and Activision Blizzard. But I guess I'm just saying, like, I just have a general appreciation for the fact that Microsoft still has some kind of respect for the big spectacle. That's all. Whether they live up to it or not is another conversation. I think last year they did. They had a really great show, but it's just like Sony got away from that, dude. And the last time they tried to do it, they fucking fell on their face. And I just feel like Sony is lacking in this one major area where it's like, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the one who misunderstands, but I just have this feeling like Sony, I really believe that if you got back to putting on these really great shows, not these fucking, like I love State of Plays a lot of times, but I mean shows that have a real pop. Like they leave people feeling like, holy shit, that was hype. Like they leave people thinking about it for like months to come, right? They don't do that. They actually seemingly avoid doing that anymore. Where it's like it's consistent to almost to a fault. Where it's like it's kind of becoming mundane and uninteresting because every single time Sony does something now, it's like you know what to expect. Like if they announce a state of play for May, I'm still going to be excited for that. I'm going to tune into that, obviously, and I'm going to be hopeful for that. But I know what to expect. I know that it's going to be, okay, probably 20 to 30 minutes of mostly third parties and second parties, which will be fine. And then they're going to end it with a little first party something. Cool. That can be great. I saw that in February and I enjoyed that in February. But if they come out and they're like, here's a showcase, I don't know what to expect. Because it's only going to be one of two things. It's either going to be like a train wreck like 2023 showcase was, or it's going to be something fucking great. And we haven't gotten something great in terms of a showcase since like 2021 or even 2020, depending on who you ask. And I understand there's this idea that like that Sony no longer exists, but there's this idea that Sony no longer exists, but I just have to wonder, like, at what point does somebody in charge at Sony wake up, look back at their previous E3 events and even some of their PlayStation Experience events? And I'm not saying they're going to bring back PlayStation Experience and do they're going to do things the way they used to, where like we're going to bring out the devs and have them play games in front of a live audience. I'm not saying you have to do that. There was something special about that, but I'm not saying you have to replicate that exactly. You just have to capture the essence of what those things did. And what those things did is they brought the entire community, and especially those who were really paying close attention and those who cared the most, it brought them together and it gave them a reason to get excited and cheer and celebrate and virtually high five each other, right? And be like, this is awesome, dude. And they just don't give a flying fuck about that anymore. Where they're just like, dude, we don't care. Here's your blog post. Here's the trailer. Pre-order the game, bitch. Like that. I feel like that's what Sony's basically saying to the fans. Like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I'll pre-order. It looks great. I still want to play it. It's awesome. You guys look like you made an awesome game. But like, geez, man, it's like, all right. Okay, I guess that's just the way it is then. Oh, by the way, we are announcing our Borderlands State of Play inside our own State of Play. PlayStation dominated 2024 without a showcase. Well, here's what I'll say. I hope Microsoft, listen, let's say Sony is not doing a showcase. Sony has no plans for a big show. If that's true, and Sony's just like, we're going to do another like smaller State of Play, and there's just no showcase. There's no fanfare. There's no nothing. I am going to be rooting. I mean, truly, I'm going to be out here with, well, I'm not going to get another poster and put it up, but I'm going to turn my lights green. I'm going to be cheering on Xbox. I'm going to be like, this is going to be the best show ever. And Sony, I hope you're taking fucking notes. Because I want somebody at Sony to wake up and realize that even though they don't have competition, like Microsoft's going to be eating your lunch in this space if you don't do something outside of a fucking Borderlands State of Play. And I'm going to be really, cheering on for Microsoft to basically kick. See, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense, though, bro, because they're about to announce Gears of War for PlayStation. Like, Sony's going to be laughing at me. Sony's going to straight up be like, they're going to be laughing at me like, bro, what do you want us to be upset that they're announcing games for our console and platform? And that's where I'm just like, yeah, I guess that doesn't really make much sense now, does it? And Sony's just going to continue laughing, counting their money. And I'm like, well, showcase dreams crushed. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that serious. It's really not. I'm just having a little bit of fun with it. What this really ultimately boils down to is I just hope that Sony has some plans to do some exciting marketing for their games, because I think that their games should be propped up a little bit more. Not all of them, but I do think that Sony, I think in some ways does show certain levels of humility, even though people don't realize it. But like, I think about last year, how like Sony was just like, here's Astrobot, and it's coming out in 3 months. Please look forward to it. And I don't think they realized, like, bro, you just announced Game of the Year, right? I don't think they knew that. And I think that was just kind of like a humble move on their part, where like they weren't trying to make it something bigger than it was. It just organically happened. It just like naturally happened. And I like those moments too. Those moments are special. But bro, Mrs. MBG just sent me a picture. Here's your new poster, and it's the same poster as this one, except it's every generation of Xbox. Yo. It's probably expensive though. There's no way that's a cheap poster. I swear though, if it is cheap, I'm gonna buy it and hang that shit up just for a day during the Xbox showcase. It would be so funny. Just for a day, I'm gonna change all my notifications. Like Master Chief pops up when you drop a super chat. Bet I won't. Beast Mode says he's crashing out if I do that. I mean, put the green lights on, get that Xbox toaster. It'd be a good time. Turn the member icons into just the achievement logo or achievement icon. Oh, you get the Series X fridge, get the whole thing. Just straight up be wearing a shirt with Phil Spencer's face on it, and the clown wig. Unbox Crackdown 3. Now we're getting too crazy. We need Mrs. MBG's positivity back in here. Yeah, I don't know. I just can't help it, Gaming Survivor. Like I know people don't like some people like it, but I know most people don't like this kind of whiny, complainy version of me. I just can't help that, dude. It like part of what I've always done on the channel is be just brutally honest, sometimes to my detriment. That's the way it is. Like, I'm just too honest sometimes to where it's like there is no mask whatsoever. To where maybe sometimes be like, well, you don't have to say everything. You don't have to talk about every topic that bothers you or whatever. But it's like, bro, I just can't sit here and pretend that I am okay with Sony doing a Borderlands 4 State of Play. I'm not trying to make it a bigger deal than it is, but it's like, I am not okay with delivering a message to Sony that, you know what, bro? You just want to drop that Ghost of Yote blog post. You just want to casually put it out there, but you want to give a 20-minute special stream to Borderlands. I don't feel okay I don't feel like okay turning to Sony and be like, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Because you know what the truth is? Like, I didn't do that shit for Xbox. I was always hard on Xbox and harsh towards them. And people cheered me on for that. But it was because it was like, I remember Microsoft doing some of these shows where they were so ass, I was like freaking the fuck out afterwards. And people were like, yeah, bro, what the hell was that? And I just feel like I'm just trying to be somewhat consistent in the message that I'm trying to, not that the message I'm delivering to Sony even fucking matters. Like, they're not listening, but it's just, I want to try to have some level of consistency where it's like, we should probably try to just let Sony know that, like, we would greatly, greatly, greatly prefer a state of play focused on their own game that we haven't heard much about, that we haven't seen much of, than a third-party game. Because you know what? What's to stop Sony from taking some of Microsoft's money? And before you know it, hey, we got a Forza Horizon 6 state of play coming your way. Not that there'd be a problem with that, but but you see where I'm saying, where it's like, what are we doing here? Like, how far away are we from that? We're not far from that. That's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, that's coming, dude. Like, that shit's going to happen. And when it does, like, are people still going to be like, oh, it's fine? Like, I'm sorry, that's not fine. Like, we should not be okay with marching towards a reality where Sony is going to be doing state of plays for Xbox games before their own games. Wait till the Halo state of play. Tune in July 14th for a special Halo state of play. I mean, I would tune in. You gotta admit, that would be an event. Now, that'd be something I could get more excited about, just for the sheer fact that this is fucking crazy. It's not so much depressing. I mean, it is a little bit depressing, but it's just crazy. How could you not tune into that? But there'd definitely be that, like, the idea is there's a Halo state of play on the horizon and no Ghost of Yote state of play, man. I mean, at that point, you got to be at, like, how much money is Microsoft paying Sony here? Although I did see people saying that the reason why Sony's doing this Borderlands state of play is because they're trying to, like, still get in good with Take-Two for GTA 6 marketing. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, if this is what they got to do to make that happen, it's totally worth it. I totally get that. But Whiskey, you're saying it's still 6 months out. I know. And, and maybe Digital Dude's right. MBG making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe, listen, man, maybe we are going to get that big dedicated Ghost of Yote state of play. It's just going to be a month before it comes out. And I'm going to look back and I'm going to be like, why was I being such a bitch? Like, damn. But I don't know, man. I just feel like this month for PlayStation, I just feel like has been not great. I'm just, honestly, like, I feel like, it's like, here's Marathon, and I'm like, oh, that could be good. And then you see it, it's like, okay. And then they're like, here's some price increases. And I'm like, okay. And like, here's a Borderlands State of Play. And I'm like, oh, all right. So the Ghost of Yotei, I guess what I'm saying is like, what they're doing with Ghost of Yotei, it feels like a freaking tease is what it feels like. It feels like a tease. They're teasing Saros gameplay. And I'm like, all right, bro, like, come on. You guys got something cooking. Like, you have to. There's no way you don't. You can't be teasing us like this and then not be doing anything. If it does, I'm never going to let you live this down. I'm going to become your new clipper on Twitter. Well, there you go. Yeah, I'm going to be clipped in the opposite direction. I'm going to end up getting clipped by PlayStation fanboys now. I mean, what would that even mean? You think Ghost doesn't need much marketing? We'll be getting it and they know it. I mean, yeah, I think there is some truth to that. I don't think you need to market Ghost of Yotei as aggressively as you did Tsushima, because Tsushima was a new IP, and there was a lot riding on it. But I still do think they're doing something, to be clear. Like, I'm just, there's a part of me that's just bracing to find out that, like, bro, there's no showcase. I'm just prepared, that's all. And then you'll see the real crash out. It's got to be showcase or nothing. It's time for you to go third party yourself. Well, I mean, I technically am, right? Like, I'm basically playing. I mean, I have, like, I got Expedition 33 installed on my PS5. I got Days Gone Remastered installed. I got Forza Horizon 5 installed. It's like, what game got delayed? Lost Soul Aside got delayed to August 29th, which I'm definitely feeling frustrated about because I'm not going to be able to play it at launch. I'm going to be playing Metal Gear. And then after that, I'm going to be playing Ghost of Yotei. I'm pretty sure nobody here buys PlayStation to be more excited about Microsoft games. I mean, I'm assuming not. Yeah, I don't think. I look at, like, my view of Microsoft putting their games on Xbox at this point is just like, this is a great bonus. Like, something that you never expected to get, but it's there anyway. You're like, shit, okay, this is great, But, yeah, man, I mean, like I said, talking about showcases, I will be watching the Xbox showcase, but what's going to be so crazy about this year's Xbox showcases, I think the assumption is that pretty much every game that's shown is going to be for PS5 as well. And that's just something that, I mean, that's truly unprecedented. Like, we've never seen that for a Microsoft show. We've seen third-party games that were announced to also be coming to PS5, but never something like, like this. You're saying I'm fanboying hard today? Wait, hold on. How am I fanboying today? Wait, I gotta know. See, I'm confused. Like, at this point, I don't know. When people say that, like, which direction am I fanboying in? Wow, really? You almost took the week off of work for that? Or a week off of work? Okay. Yeah, it is. They said that they need more time to polish the game. Oh, crying about PlayStation showcases. Yeah, well, I mean, it's either that or try to hype up this Borderlands State of Play. I just don't have it in me, man. I was thinking about it. I'm like, maybe I could try to be enthusiastic or positive about the State of Play, but I can't lie to you guys like that. I can't. I can't. It would, like, I'll be honest, man. It would be more. See, if I wasn't so dense, if not dense, stubborn, right? If I wasn't the way I am, I would be able to come out here and be like, Borderlands 4 State of Play, hype. Let's go, boys. It's not the State of Play we asked for, but it's the State of Play we're getting, and we're buckling up, and we're ready. But I can't. If it was a game I was, like, somewhat interested in, I definitely could, but it's impossible for me to be anything other than just blech. And that's no offense to Borderlands, by the way. I don't think it looks bad. I don't. I'm totally indifferent. Hype it and then put them in therapy after. Yeah, I'm gonna have to join them. Damn, Lux, that's savage. If MBG was glazing the Borderlands 4 State of Play, I would feel very gaslit. Angry Well Watcher, stay tuned because I will be hyping up the Borderlands State of Play. It's just not quite time yet. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm just airing out all my grievances now on the last day of the month, so that way we can go into May refreshed. Where's the new Resident Evil? I don't know. I mean, we've been talking about that for like a year, and it still hasn't been announced. I'm assuming it's coming soon. An announcement, that is. So, I guess I should just say these things now. So, if there is a state of play announced for May, then, well, I mean, what should our expectations be? Pretty middle of the road, I guess. Probably be pretty good, not horrible, not amazing, just pretty good overall. Raven X0, member for 8 months, says, with game development taking much longer, the terrible trends Sony is chasing, a lot of cancellations, basically a restart from most of Sony developers. Yeah, not all of them, but there's definitely multiple. I'll put it this way. If the live service game initiative never went into effect, and if most of those studios and their like secondary teams or whatever were making a different game, like a different single player game, right now we'd probably literally have double the amount of first party titles. Assuming, well, then again, you know, some single player games get canceled too, so it's unlikely that all those projects, even if they were single player, would have made it to the finish line. But undoubtedly, we would have a couple of different things we'd be looking forward to on top of what we're already looking forward to. Okay, what game are you talking about? Are you talking about Borderlands? Is that the title you're talking about? Yeah, that's a dangerous combination, man. Games taking this long to develop, and then a game that's also maybe chasing a trend. It's like, oof, that's a recipe for disaster. Well, because it's just, I mean, I don't care at all about Borderlands, man. You know, I've never once played it because I've had no interest in playing it. It's just not for me. And it's one of these things where it's like, this is why I'm like hesitant about the idea of becoming a game reviewer, because the reason why I wouldn't review Borderlands is because I feel very certain that like I'm going to be like, I don't like this game, I don't recommend it, and I didn't even want to finish it. And that's just going to look weird. Like, people are going to freak out about that because they're like, bro, this game's all like, what are you talking about? And it's like, oh, he just doesn't like Borderlands. It's like, yeah, I knew that going in. So it's like a weird situation to be in where it's like, this is where I don't know how game reviewers pick and choose what games. Like, I don't know what kind of rule they have where it's like, I'm going to review every game. Well, you can't do that. There's just too many games. So how do you decide which ones to go with and which ones not to? To me, you know, I just naturally lean towards the idea of like, I'd rather review games that if I'm even remotely interested in it, maybe I would consider, you know, like, but if it's a game that I look at and I'm like, I don't want to touch that. You know, like, what are the chances that I review it and it's like, oh, this is the best game ever? I mean, I guess it's possible. You know, it definitely would expand horizons, but yeah, I couldn't believe that when we looked up how much Borderlands sold yesterday. I was like, what? I knew this game was successful, had absolutely no idea it was that successful. Or the franchise, I should say. I mean, I like looter shooters. What do they call them? Schlooters? Oh my God, that's the worst name ever. I do like that genre. I just don't play it Like, I played The Division, and I liked The Division. I played that game, what's it called? Outriders. Yeah, I played that too, and I'm like, these are pretty good games, but they always, I don't know, they don't ever really. I never played a looter shooter that I'm like, this is the best game ever, or like is like a 9.5 out of 10 for me. They feel very rinse and repeat-ish, which I guess that's the point. But Borderlands 4, just as a game, like just the whole tone of that game just does not appeal to me, like even a little bit. I think it seems much better. PlayStation thinks it's good enough to do a state of play for it. Yeah, well, dude, a lot of people are telling me, they're like, well, they're doing this Borderlands state of play because it's going to sell like gangbusters on PlayStation. I'm like, yeah, and like, it really did click for me yesterday when it was like, oh, look at the Borderlands franchise sold like 77 million units. Like, that's when it clicked with me. I'm like, oh, I had no idea. I'm like, oh, okay, I get this is going to be a massive seller on PlayStation, obviously. So that's going to benefit Sony. I mean, Sony, one of the biggest strengths, if not the biggest strength of PlayStation, I talk all about their first party games and I want showcases. And obviously, you guys know how I feel about that stuff. But I'm not ignorant to the fact that like Sony's greatest strength in the gaming space is their power as a third party platform, or as a platform for third parties. I mean, like, there's just no denying that. There's a reason why GTA 6 is going to do, like, GTA 6 is going to do more for PlayStation this generation than literally anything else has. Anything. And that's a third party game, Like, yeah. I mean, would somebody just say that it's crazy that Borderlands has sold just as much as the Gran Turismo series? It's like, yeah, the Gran Turismo series is Sony's best selling franchise. So I get it. Like, I do understand. Like, when I'm done having my tantrum or whatever, I do get it at the end of the day. It's just sometimes I wish that, I wish things could be a little bit more evenly balanced, but that's the nature of it. Borderlands actually has good stories. Does not feel like it's a looter shooter until after the game. Yeah, I mean, I've seen gameplay and I've watched trailers and I've seen some portions of it, and I don't know. There's just something about it where I'm like, wouldn't it be at least a good try, a blind spot in gaming for you? I'll think about. I mean, we'll see. Like, listen, if I'm offered the opportunity, and I'm not, my whole thing is like, dude, September is pretty much a non-factor for me because I'm going to be playing Metal Gear. That whole, like, unless, I mean, I could no life Metal Gear and be done with it in 2 weeks, but my assumption is I'm going to be playing Metal Gear releases the last week of August. My main focus is I need to be 100% done and do everything in Metal Gear that I want to do and get my time with it before Ghost of Yotei drops. So, there's always that factor as well. Prince, you're saying you get all your hype from gaming news articles and blogs, your over showcases and state places. That's such an interesting. I mean, I'm assuming you're being serious. That's so. Maybe I should embrace that. Is that what I should do? Prince, do you think I'd be a happier person? I get hype for the blog post drop, no more showcases. I probably would. Yeah, I probably should do that. Showcases are so 2020. You're 100% serious? I mean, I believed you. I was just making sure. MBG, did you see that trailer for Smash Drums for VR2? Looks like Rock Band. Maybe that can get you back in the VR. No, I didn't. Hold on. So a drum game for PSVR 2? Looking it up now. Oh, okay. I don't think I can play it with sound though. Yo. I might have to. This might be what gets me back into PSVR 2. Hold on. I gotta make sure there's no sound. I can't play literally anything for you because it's playing like music that'll get copyrighted. What tracks do they have though? Native 120 FPS. It reminds me of like Beat Saber a little bit. See, I don't know how this would compare to playing something. It's got headset rumble. I don't know how playing something like this would compare to like Rock Band. Trying to. It's PS5 Pro enhanced. Okay. Social mode. Cinematic camera system. Show your skills. 58 plus songs. Additional premium song packs available for purchase. Oh, see, that's a problem. That would be a money sink for me if I ended up liking it. If they have a lot of tracks that I would want to play. I don't know. I might have to consider this. Very interesting. Sorry, I don't have it on. I would show it on screen, but I can't even. You know, it looks like Rock Band basically, but they're playing. I don't know who that song was by, but it definitely would get copyrighted. Oh yeah, I have PSVR too. You love to see me play Beat Saber. I never did play Beat Saber. King Sam, you're saying you finished the main story of Monster Hunter Worlds last night. Onto the Iceborne expansions now. I'm glad I gave it another shot. Great game. Thanks, MBG. I'm glad to hear that. I never did get around to playing the expansions though, so you'll have to tell me how they are when you do that. But yeah, man, Monster Hunter Worlds was a good game. I enjoyed my time with it. Got a little bit crazy when towards the end when I was trying to get all the achievements though. Prince G, you're saying you dropped a lot of cash for songs in Rock Band 4? Oh yeah, dude. Pantera, Deftones, Soundgarden. Yeah, I think out of all the games I've ever played, I probably dropped the most amount of money on Rock Band 4. And ironically enough, Rock Band 4, all my stuff that I bought is on Xbox. So I still have a my Xbox One X, and that's the only game I think I have installed on it. But I went to go play it recently. I think like a month or two ago. I went to go play it, and I was looking all around my house for my Rock Band guitar. One of them was broken. The other one seemed like it was okay, but it actually also was broken. So they were both broken, and I'm like, well, damn. So maybe at some point I will buy. I know they're releasing like a bunch of different types of Rock Band guitars. Yeah, for because like they have like Fortnite Festival now, and yeah, I mean I have hundreds of dollars I think worth of songs. I had to like stop playing because I was like spending too much money on them. Like this is getting bad. But I used to play the drums for Rock Band 4, and they were really really fun. But the drums were the first thing to break, and they're pretty expensive. I mean, I haven't even looked up how much it would cost to buy like a Rock Band drum kit. Curious now, actually. Rock Band 4 drums. How much do they go for? Oh wow. Okay, so if you want the whole kit, Amazon, $1,780. What? It's nearly $1,800. You're looking at used stuff. Even well, I don't know if it's used, but there's one here. pre-owned $200. What? Ludwig Questlove Pocket Kit Complete Drum Set. $350. Yo, I'm about to buy that. Why are these drum kits so... Hold on. Now I'm seeing like real drum kits pop up. And I'm like, why are they so cheap? Pocket kit. Looks like a 4-piece kit. Or 5-piece with the cymbals. Anyway, I mean, the freaking Rock Band kits are more expensive than real drums, bro. Which is kind of nuts. Huh. Don't forget the tariffs on top. Yeah, did you guys see that Amazon is apparently going to be showing you how much you're paying in tariffs? I mean, it's like good to know, but I don't know that I want to know. It's gonna make me depressed. You get a pretty good e-kit for $400 now. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten used to playing electric drums. Although my electric kit's pretty much broken now, so I don't have any. I just like haven't been playing because of that. But I got so used. I haven't played a real kit in years, dude. Like over 10+ years, and I don't know. I'm sure I'd be fine on it, but the one thing I liked about having an electric kit is like you can control the volume, you can wear headphones, and you can customize it. But it'll definitely never replace the feel of playing like acoustic drums. Nothing will ever really take the place of that. But you couldn't do e-kits. It took a while to get used to, for sure. It helps with your precision, though, I'll tell you that. Abdallah with a $2 super chat says, MEG, have you seen Wu Chang Fallen Feathers trailer? I did. Yeah, I watched it. They showed like a new boss battle. Game looks pretty sick, honestly. It's coming on July, so I'll have to see where I am. I doubt I'll be playing it day one because, again, when that game comes out, I'm probably going to be in the middle of playing Death Stranding 2. But it does look really good, so I could see it being a game I get around to at some point. You practice on them, but full time you couldn't. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager, I had an acoustic drum kit set up in a shed. It was a small shed, but it was big enough for a drum kit. And I think the neighborhood hated me, dude. Like looking back on it, I kind of feel bad. I feel like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was a bit of an asshole without realizing it. Like I was playing it in the shed, and the shed was not soundproof. It was a shed, not a garage. It was a shed. So it was pretty small, but big enough for me to be in there with a drum kit. But it was not well insulated. It had no insulation, and it had no proofing whatsoever. And I was beating the shit out of these drums. I mean, I was playing like Metallica and Pantera and everything else, Lamb of God. And I didn't realize it, but like, dude, it was like you could hear it from like blocks away. And I just feel bad looking back on it because I'm like, dude, people probably fucking wanted to murder me. Like, dude, shut up. Like, I didn't have a basement at the time. And I think like most people probably, because that's the thing about drums, dude, is they're so loud. They are so loud. And the problem with me playing in that shed was that it was significantly louder than if I was even just playing inside the house. Now, the house that I was living in, it couldn't fit the drums. But if I was playing inside the house, it would still be loud. But, house is much more soundproof than just a wooden shed. So looking back on it, man, I apologize to all of my neighbors because, man, as a grown adult now, like that would be so annoying. I was good though. That's the one plus. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I wasn't a shitty drummer. I was good. I sounded good. So at least if you had to hear it, it was decent. Imagine some dude running up to MBG breaking the shed door. I mean, I'm shocked nobody did. I'm sure somebody thought about it. breaking into that shed and just destroying my fucking drums. I would have thought about it. I'm like, this guy needs to shut up. I mean, I had a couple complaints, but nothing crazy. I think people understood they didn't want to kill my dream. Because like at that time, I'm like, I'm going to be a drummer. I'm going to make a band. And actually, there was a time where two of my cousins, one played bass, one played guitar. We did try to make a band for a little bit. In fact, we even uploaded a couple songs on MySpace back in the day. I don't think they sounded good. They were rough, dude, but it was decent. It was decent. And that didn't last very long, but still time to start a band. Let me pull up MySpace real quick. I tried looking for it. I couldn't find it. Does MySpace still exist? There's no way MySpace still exists, right? Better question, who's using MySpace? You had two bands in high school? I mean, dude, I remember for like my middle school graduation, this is like story time here, but in my middle school graduation, I was given the opportunity with my friend to play our instruments and just like play a song or something or come up with anything. And we had time to practice. And, you know, this was back in 8th grade. So I was like really into like Metallica, Megadeth, bands like that. New member goal unlocked. Yeah. And I remember my friend, he was like kind of learning to play guitar because we wanted to do it together. And it was, you know, we were just going to like play something, I think, for the opening of like the ceremony or whatever. And I don't think they understood, like, we were not on the same page because I was like, dude, we're going to basically put on a metal concert. Like, we're going to put on a metal show. It's going to be amazing. They're going to finally, like, we're going to make it a big thing. And so my friend, I told him, I was like, you got to buy, it was like this metal crunch pedal for his guitar to basically make it, you know, crunchy and make it sound like metal. And he did, and we practiced for like a month what we were going to play, and it sounded awesome. And the day of our graduation, everything was set up, and, you know, we were not allowed to like go on stage after we set everything up, but we had found out when we went on to go play that one of the teachers, I think it was the music teacher, set up. He saw that pedal and he took it off, and he didn't tell us. So all the distortion was removed secretly, and it was such a devastating blow in that moment because I was like, this is gonna sound not like shit, but like in my, you know, I'm like 14 years old. I'm like, this is gonna sound like shit now. Like, it's ruined. It's ruined. It's over. And it didn't sound good. It didn't sound good, and I was really pissed. Like, it wasn't, you know, looking back on it, it's not that big of a deal. I understand why the teacher did that because it's like, bro, I don't think anybody was going to be quite prepared. You know, you get like parents and stuff and families showing up, and they're like, this is going to be such a wonderful celebration of my child's educational progress. And I'm like, so we're putting this thing up to 11 and playing some Metallica. I hope you're ready. And that's actually what we had rehearsed, some Metallica. And so it just wasn't meant to be. And I remember everybody saying after that, and it really depressed me because everybody was like, bro, that was good, but the guitar sounded like a piano. I'm not kidding. Like, that's what people were saying. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I remember, like, it really messed me and my friend up because when he started playing, there was no distortion. He was like looking at me, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Sorry, back to games. What did EA cancel? EA canceled Titanfall 3. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun, guys? See, I was positively reminiscing, and then you guys got to pull me back. Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. There's good times. Your band teacher worked with Kiss before they were Kiss, which was so cool. Although he hated talking about it. Why did he hate talking about it? That's funny. That's funny, though. I like the idea that he was involved with Kiss before they were Kiss, but he like doesn't want. It's like a great shame or something. Oh, you know what? Too. There was a. I remember there was like a talent show. I think in 8th grade, and I went to go play the drums. And I remember I had rehearsed playing Metallica's "And Justice for All." I don't know why. Like in 8th grade, that was like my Metallica phase. I was really getting into Lars Ulrich's drumming, specifically on the "And Justice for All" album. Which, looking back at it, I think that was his best drumming. Um, and I was like, I'm gonna play "And Justice for All," like just the drums. I didn't have like a backing track or anything, and I was playing in front of everybody, and like, dude, my freaking cymbal. I should have double checked. Rookie mistake. I should have double checked everything, make sure everything was tight and not loose. And the cymbal like collapsed in the middle of me playing, and I'm like, everything's cursed, bro. That's what I'm realizing. Lars Ulrich's drumming is nothing special. I mean, I feel like Lars gets a lot of shit, but I think I think he deserves a fair amount of credit. I think he did a. If you listen back to, um, like Ride the. I mean, even like Kill 'Em All, but Ride the Lightning, Master Puppets. But I think "And Justice for All" was probably his peak. I think he did a lot for metal drumming, Saint Anger drumming. I mean, look, I know Saint Anger is viewed as like the worst album ever. I'm not gonna lie, I think it was because of how old, like my age. I have like a nostalgia for it where I was like 13 or 14, and I came across the Saint Anger album. I'm like, this is pretty decent. Like I liked it, and then I saw like everybody hated it. I'm like, oh, like well, I like it. I mean, I like it's not their best, certainly not. You want to hear something weird? Go listen to their album they made called Lulu or whatever. That makes Saint Anger look like a masterpiece, I think. Ray, do you like Load and Reload, or do you dislike those albums? I love those albums. I like pretty much all of Metallica's albums. Yeah, I do like Saint Anger too. But the Steely Dan album. It's so funny to me looking back that like people looked at it as like Metallica sold out with the Black Album. I'm like, bro, the Black Album's sick. I understand it's not like thrash metal per se, but why would people? I don't know. I just think there were people they weren't appreciative enough of like. There's some really awesome songs on here. Lars is a bad drummer's opinion of what a good drummer sounds like. Well, if you look at a lot of like modern day metal drummers, I mean, I don't know. It's just weird because it's like I look around and I'm like, bro, people are doing such crazy stuff on the kit these days. It's like it reminds me of skateboarding a little bit, where I look at where like how skateboarding has progressed in terms of like street skating and the crazy stuff that people are doing. And I'm just like, I think we've reached a ceiling. Like what else can be done? Like we've reached the peak. You can't go any higher than this. I mean, do you want to feel old? The Black Album is not considered classic rock. Or I think you meant to say now considered. Dragon Knight, you Godsmack fan? Anybody listen to the newest Metallica album? It's all right. It's pretty good. It didn't. I didn't listen to it for that long, but I had it on repeat for a couple weeks there. The surprise PS5 upgrade is Returnal for the Pro anyway. One of my favorite drummers, like by far one of my favorite drummers. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, Chris Adler. So Chris Adler, he no longer plays with the band, but he was the drummer of Lamb of God. And I don't know if there's any Lamb of God fans here, but I think the biggest mistake that band, Lamb of God, ever made was parting ways with Chris Adler, because I don't know, man, he had some incredible patterns that he just had a certain groove. And I grew up You know, I started listening to Metallica and listening to Lars Ulrich strumming as like a kind of gateway. And then I progressed on to listening to Chris Adler. And Chris Adler really, I was like, holy shit, like, okay, I like this guy's style. And it inspired me a lot. And it's still like, I think Lamb of God songs are some of my favorite songs to drum to still. Mike Portnoy. I just saw that, I follow that channel Drumeo, and they just had, I mean, they have all these different drummers come on, but they just had, oh God, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Sorry, my brain's going like this. I can't properly think of names. But the drummer, why can't the drummer of Soundgarden, Matt Cameron? There, Jesus, I can't believe I forgot his name. I just brought great shame to myself. But they had Matt Cameron on, and he was breaking down his drumming on Black Hole Sun. And I'm like, that's sick. Dude, I don't even want to talk about Tool. If there's any band and any drummer that like genuinely made me feel like I just want to quit and not even try, it's definitely Danny Carey and Tool. Like, I love Tool. They're one of my favorite bands. They have incredible songs. I love I know we're just talking about music at this point. I apologize. We were talking about, it's better than complaining, right? I was just like whining the whole time. But every time I try to drum to Tool, I literally start feeling depressed because I'm like, I suck. Like, I can't even. Well, I shouldn't even try. Like, it's just embarrassing, you know? Tool's the best band of all time. Tool's amazing. Yeah. Are they going to be doing another album? This should be talk for the members lounge. To be fair, this is stuff we would normally talk about in the members lounge. But I haven't done any for this month, and I'm going to, it's the last day of the month. I'm going to be bringing back the members lounge starting in May. So we'll have plenty more conversations like this there. Stuart Copeland. Yeah, he's really good too. You know what's funny? Wasn't he involved with Spyro the Dragon? Stuart Copeland? Tyson Webb, you're saying Lamb of God is so much better than Metallica. Lamb of God's one of my favorite bands of all time, dude. I mean, I gotta be honest, when they got their new drummer, I couldn't get into Lamb of God. I still like them a lot, but I feel like they lost a lot when they parted ways with Chris Adler. I feel like Lamb of God lost a lot. He brought a lot to the table for that band. Gojira, dude, Gojira is amazing. That's another drummer that, dude, I've tried to play some Gojira songs. I'm like, I can't. It's too good. He's too good. Will marathons survive Arc Raiders? I don't know. I've been seeing more and more people talk about Arc Raiders, and I would like to try it. It does. Arc Raiders looks way more appealing to me than Marathon does. Truthfully, I'll still try Marathon, and I could still end up liking Marathon, but Abe Cunningham from Deftones, he's a good drummer. Yeah, Deftones got some good beats. Well, I've been talking for the last like 20 minutes about drumming and music and stuff. And so, guys, I think this will be a good place to wrap up today's stream. I don't want to spend too much time not talking about game stuff because I don't want people to get the wrong impression and think that, my streams are now not going to be gaming focused. But yeah, sorry it was a bit of a disappointing stream today. But, just airing out some grievances before May begins. Once May starts tomorrow, I'm hopeful that we'll get some exciting stuff. I'll be honest, guys, I don't think I'm going to be streaming the Borderlands State of Play. I think you guys understand why. I just, I'll be honest, it's because I don't want to ruin anybody's. I'm going to be honest. Here's why I'm not streaming it. I know there are people who are excited for Borderlands, and I'm going to end up bringing negative energy, and I'm not trying to ruin anybody's hype or interest in that game. I'm going to be honest. Like, I just can't do it. So I do apologize for that. This might be the first ever State of Play that I'm not streaming, but, I got to go with my gut on this one. I think anybody who's excited for Borderlands, if they tuned into my stream, they'd probably end up getting annoyed. The Rat by the Walkman has an amazing drum beat. But guys, thank you for tuning in to today's stream. And thank you to anybody who dropped any support. I know I'm betraying Sony, bro. Really appreciate all the support you guys have shown the channel. I did put out a news video earlier, so you could go check that out if you haven't. And Masochist Mode, I erased that one from my memory, so thank you for reminding me. But guys, please enjoy the rest of your day. If you are tuning into that Borderlands State of Play, I do hope you enjoy it, and I hope the game is everything you want it to be. And we'll probably be back here tomorrow. So also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. Devil Shooter, thank you for doing the timestamps, man. If you guys see him in the comments, show him some love. And that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up. So guys, I will catch you in the next one. Until then, take care, everyone.